Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
From our virtual studios in the Netherlands
and Camarillo, California.
It is time once again for the Marketing Geeks radio internet program.
And I hope you trust us because we trust you to listen to this show every single week and to rate, review, and love the show on iTunes and every other platform out there, Spotify, whatever you're listening to this on. Make sure to leave a review. We love you.
I trust that you will definitely listen to Justin Womack on this one because he's a trustworthy soul. You can trust him on that, and you can trust me that I will give you the ability to trust me and trust Justin.
Well, we know that we can trust you, Andros Sturgeon, because your father was a science fiction author, and if I've learned anything in life, it's to trust science fiction authors' sons.
That's right, and you can trust Justin on that fact. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time once again for your favorite marketing show. That's right. It is time for the Marketing Geeks.
Marketing Geeks.
Hey, everybody.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on. Or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We are here again for you. Man, we've got a killer show.
We surely do.
We are going to. This all stemmed from an article that I read from the Google digital marketing blog called Think with Google, which is every once in a while they'll throw something up that is quite interesting and entertaining. And I read this article about how you need to start building trust with your with the people that come to your online business, or if you do any kind of online marketing, you need to build trust with them. And partly because there is more and more people who are blocking cookies. So that makes ads personalization very limited. Conversions are being underreported because of different types of ad blockers and privacy blockers. I have about 3 privacy blockers on Chrome, plus a VPN. And measurement methods are not working as well. I know that there was a big scandal with Facebook not too long ago because they were not accurately reporting video views and some ad data that was coming in. So, and especially because...
Why would anyone want to block cookies? I mean, come on. I mean, don't you love ads? Don't you want to just be inundated and bombarded with ad after ad after ad after ad? I mean, I know I do.
I just love cookies.
They are delicious.
Yeah, and so I use something called Privacy Badger, and I also use something called Ghosterly. On Chrome. You can find them both in the Chrome App Store. Ghosterly and Privacy Badger. And I use a third one called Disconnect. And that basically, Disconnect will stop data going from Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Privacy Badger also stops information going to these to different third-party companies, but it will also keep pop-ups from coming up. It will keep double-click information from going to Google. So I use that, and then I use something called Ghosterly, which is another site. And what's interesting is that there was a short moment. I don't see it as much as I used to, but some sites would actually say you have to shut off your privacy widget in order to go onto the site. And plus a variety of ad blockers and different types of technology that are trying to keep people safe. Not only that, you also have on top of that, there's been so many data breaches with everything from Facebook to Ashley Madison, if you remember that gigantic leak, which is pretty funny.
I believe you were among that list. Is that correct?
No, I actually avoided that because I was smart enough to know that most of the people on there were bots. So
you used a VPN.
That's right. I used a VPN and a fake name. But so here's the question, really, that I want to pose before we get into the show, and just think about it, talk among yourselves. It comes down to this: with trust being such an issue, right? The types of data that you collect, you have to be like upfront about it, and retargeting is getting harder. Then it really comes down to people trusting your site, trusting your brand enough. And how do you do that as a digital marketer when the tools that we all used are slowly changing and disappearing on some level? So
the requirements here too, Andros, are being a lot more stringent now since the GDPR passed last May, I think it was. You've probably noticed this when you go to a lot of your websites that you used to visit. At the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a bar that says this website collects cookies. And that didn't used to be there until the GDPR passed. That's it. That's a new regulation that sites are required to have that warning if they want to collect information from citizens of the European Union. And again, I mentioned this before, that California has passed legislation that's going to pretty much match the European Union laws, the GDPR laws. However, it's not going to go into effect until, I forget if it's either the end of 2020. I think it's the end of 2020. It might be the end of 2021. But that's a big deal, which means that there are major changes coming to marketing in the United States.
It's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect everybody. So you got to be, as a digital marketer, you got to be prepared for this. And so we're going to go over some techniques and some options. And what it really comes down to is, if you listen to our show last week about permission marketing, where you basically have to convince people to give their data to you now. How do you go about that? And we're going to have some techniques and some various examples. But before we get into that, we have... That's right. It's time for the Geek News report. Is that what we call it? I don't even know.
Marketing news.
Thanks, man. What would I do without you? So a little bit of marketing news here. This is kind of interesting. Facebook has gotten clobbered by the UK, and basically the UK Parliament has come out with this report that says that Facebook behaved like, quote, digital gangsters. So this is from NPR.org, a new report from British lawmakers on how social media is used to spread disinformation finds that Facebook and other big tech companies are failing their users and dodging accountability. And so it's a 108-page report. I'm going to read it to you now. No, I'm kidding. But it basically gets into everything from the Cambridge Analytica scandal to how Facebook collects data. And what's really interesting? So going into this whole concept of trust, one of the things that Facebook, part of their brand is trust. Whether or not they trust us with their data. And as I've always said, if the product is free, then you are the product. And because it is it is clearly obvious that Facebook has failed us, their brand has been hurt tremendously. And people ask me why I trust Google. I've had this question. In fact, I just got a Nest thermostat put into my home. I have the Google mesh network in my home, and people have said, well, yeah, but aren't you worried that these technologies are kind of tracking you all the time, especially Google? And it's like, yeah, that's a concern, but part of the whole thing with that is that I trust Google, because if something happened, if they had a data breach and we found out that my data was taken by a third party or used in a way that was not trustworthy, and that trust was broken, I would stop using all of their products, and Google would essentially die on the vine. So, it's kind of interesting because Facebook is under a lot of heat, and right now they're also trying to. This is a different story, but they're trying to basically block anti-vax disinformation and other types of disinformation that have been disseminated on Facebook, but they're not doing it well enough, and people are still getting their news from Facebook, and a lot of it is wrong. So, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Facebook in the UK, because if it turns out that Zuckerberg is called back to the UK, to Parliament, they could be in for some serious trouble.
Yeah, let me. I just found this on TechCrunch. So TechCrunch. I'm just going to read you the headline. It's the same story, but it's a UK Parliament's report on fake news and disinformation says, quote, "Digital gangster Facebook deliberately broke laws, and they're now calling for antitrust and data abuse investigations."
Right.
So this is an antitrust case potentially in the UK. So that's some serious charges there. So things might be heating up here.
Oh yeah, and in Germany just recently they've requested that Facebook stop collecting data on their users. So if they stop collecting data on their users, that means that you can't remarket to them, right? So this gets into kind of what we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is like how do you then, what tools can you use to market to people if you can't remarket, if you can't target, if those tools that we've relied on as digital marketers for the past few years are starting to disappear? That also means that the way that both Facebook and Google make money is going to be limited. So it's quite a conundrum, especially as more ad blockers start being used. How many ad blockers do you have on Chrome?
I don't use any ad blockers. I accept all my ads. As a advertiser, I feel it is my sworn duty to be a victim of my own doings. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't block them. I don't care.
Sometimes you take out ads just to target yourself, right?
That's right. I like to target myself because I just like every time I see my own ads, I get, we talk about those dopamine spikes, man. I get like a serious high. Serious high.
Guy just stays high all day long, man. That's an expensive habit, throwing down money. Oh man, my ad campaign ran out. I gotta load up again.
It's like $100 a click, man, but it's worth it.
Target people named Justin Womack who are on podcasts called Marketing Geeks. So
here's an interesting, totally off the topic story. Mm-hmm. Alibaba has acquired 8% stake in a Nasdaq-listed Chinese anime streaming site called Bilibili. And Tencent, the company Tencent, are you familiar with them at all?
Is that 50 Cent's younger brother? Like started that company?
That's exactly correct. Well, Tencent paid $320 million for a 12.3% stake in Bilibili back in October 2018. So this is apparently this is a growing company. So if you want to invest in the Chinese anime streaming business, now is the time to get in.
I thought about investing for several years. Now that this show is becoming popular and we almost have 8 listeners, I may just do that.
Well, I'm hoping they do an IPO in the United States because I'm definitely buying into Uber, and then I'm buying into Bilibili.
Yeah, I think, and I know that based on your past stock purchases, They've done so well.
Yeah, I had a great year last year. I investing in MoviePass stock. What was it called? Helios and something. That was a big winner.
Yeah,
big winner.
You bought some Dogecoin, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I bought some Dogecoin, but not a lot. I put $100. I put $100 into Dogecoin, and it's now worth like $50. And I bought at the beginning of the year, though. I bought back in January, February. I started buying into Bitcoin and some cryptocurrencies as well. And I figured that that was after it peaked at like 20 grand, but it had already dropped down a little bit. So I thought I was going to catch it on the downswing, but the downswing has continued and continued and continued. And now Bitcoin's like 3,500 right now. It's pretty low.
It's pretty low. So it's a great time to invest, or it's a great time to go, I shouldn't have mortgaged my home. Oh, well. So the moral to that story is, I don't know. Is there a moral to that story? So
not really.
Not really. So any other news you want to cover? It's kind of a slow news week.
Yeah. There are a couple things. I wanted to give a resolution to the story we covered last week about Amazon considering leaving New York.
Oh yeah,
it has happened. They have abandoned New York, and it was the result of political backlash. So apparently they received some heavy-handed criticism about the company coming to New York, and they decided that rather than deal with the headaches of being called out, they would just abandon the project. And they are totally abandoning headquarters too. They had a few. That was the main headquarters was going to be in New York, and they had a few kind of satellite offices. The satellite offices will still continue to be built, and one of them was in Virginia. I forget where the other one was. But there will not be a big headquarters too, at least at this time.
Yeah, and AOC, who's my favorite politician right now, because she's making politics look fun, and that's she's putting new energy into politics. I think that she's a savvy political marketer, so I can definitely respect that. But
there's no question she's a great political marketer. I mean, there's no question there. She is the way that she was able to create that campaign for herself is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So she was actually the one who made sure that Amazon didn't build their headquarters there, and in part it has to do with the fact that the Amazon warehouse employees are paid nothing really, and they're treated like crap. My mother, of all people, she needed a job. This is just part of the American dream. This is a woman who's in her almost late 70s, and her Medicare was not, the funds that she had for her own retirement just were not there. So she had to get a job, and of course she got a job at the Amazon fulfillment center, where she was getting paid absolute, not quite minimum wage, but not much over minimum wage. And she had to basically stock these, move things around and wear these motion monitors. So she would always be at her station. Everything was micromanaged. They treated her like a robot, essentially. And it's kind of sad that this woman in her 70s has to do that kind of job for what essentially amounts to minimum wage, right? So I think that it's the way that and there's no healthcare, there's none of that with these jobs. So I think that they put kind of their foot down and said, no, New York's too expensive. We can't afford to have people working at these jobs, and so they.
Also of note, because this now that we're talking about Amazon, I just remembered that there was a story that ran yesterday or the day before that Amazon paid $0 in federal taxes last year.
That's right.
So that was That was interesting because I know they take a large loss on postal services because they have free shipping, and they take a loss there because they're acquiring gigantic market share. So I assume that that's helping to ease their tax burden a lot. But I still don't know how they got down to zero. That's a lot of there's a lot of expenses there. Maybe some giant CEO bonuses and things like that. I don't know.
This gets into a whole interesting thing about how businesses are taxed. Here in the Netherlands, I pay 40% tax. And if I made enough money, I would pay 50% tax. And, I tell that to people and they go, what? But and as a business, I have to pay that as well. But the thing is that the infrastructure in this country is amazing, and the healthcare is super cheap. $350 or €350 for a family of 5, right? Full medical care, and it's good medical care. So it's a problem because a lot of these companies have their headquarters in the Cayman Islands or Bermuda, and they just have one tiny office with one person working in it. But that's their headquarter office. And yet they will get these huge tax breaks to build new headquarters in these different states. There was a really famous story. I listened to a podcast on this, and it just blew my mind that basically Foxconn was going to open this gigantic factory in I forget what state it was. I want to say Kentucky or someone correct me on this, but basically they were going to open this huge factory, and they thought that it was going to bring in all these jobs. And at the end of the day, it turned out that they gave them free money to build the entire factory. So it was going to cost the taxpayers a ton of money, but they were thinking, well, it's going to give us jobs. But when they figured out what they were actually going to put at that factory, it was going to be for R&D, and which means that they were just going to hire scientists from America, give them good jobs to skim off their intellectual ability and invention. And this is a Chinese company. So the concept of jobs being created and giving away money to build these giant factories, it's a fallacy, right? I mean, corporate greed is a real thing, and if you use the commons, if you drive on roads, if you use the public arena to make your factory or your business run, you should pay your fair share in taxes. I have no problem paying taxes if it's going to the right place. But this is a huge issue. So and it also erodes trust.
And it's the nature of capitalism. The way that businesses are structured in the United States, their responsibility is to the shareholders. So it's profit at all costs. And when you have a system that's set up that way, they're going to look for loopholes. They're going to exploit everything that they can, and they're going to set up their office in the Cayman Islands so that they can get a gigantic tax relief. I can't blame them with the way the system is set up. It's a matter of the government needs to patch the holes. I mean, that's the problem here, because it's going to continue until something like that is handled.
Well, you know the difference between capitalism and communism, right?
Tell me.
Well, communism is a system in which man just ends up exploiting man, and capitalism is the exact opposite.
Okay.
So think about that.
So it's a man ends up exploiting man. So man exploits upends man. I did it backwards.
That's right. Good job, man. That was a palindrome.
Not quite. It was almost palindrome.
Not quite, but yeah. So moving along, to the meat of this gets into what we're going to talk about, which is building trust with your the people that you're in business with, the people that visit you, the way that you advertise. So and if you break trust, then it's going to not only damage your brand, but building up that trust again is extremely difficult. So if somebody steals from you and then they come back and they say, you know what, I stole from you, I was caught, I'm sorry, I will never do it again. Even if they're completely reformed, that trust is broken. And in geek news, we have a really good example about this. This is something that you were talking about before the show, which is it looks like they're going to cast the new Batman, right?
Yeah, that's right. The rumor is that Armie Hammer, who actually, I don't know if you remember this, back from like the late 2000s, they were going to do a Justice League movie And they were going to cast Armie Hammer as Batman back then, and there was like nobody knew who he was back then, and there was like gigantic backlash to like, who the hell is this guy? And now it looks like 10 years later, he may be Batman in the new Matt Reeves movie, where it's supposed to get back to Batman's detective roots. But like we were saying before the show, I think Batman's kind of hit the saturation point right now.
Right. Batman needs to go back in the Batcave. And the thing is that I pride myself on the fact that I did not see Batman versus Superman, and I did not see the Justice League movie. They seemed like stinkers coming from a mile away.
And you said Suicide Squad. You said you missed out on too.
I totally avoided that. I'll go see the James Gunn Suicide Squad because I know that's going to be dope. But as far as actual like a decent Batman movie, and then Ben Affleck, who to his credit is a very capable director. I mean, he directed Argo, which was fantastic. It was a really great.
He's directed a few movies that are pretty decent. So yeah, he's a very capable director.
Right, and he was
as
going
an
to direct.
Actor, he's okay.
Yeah, and
he's not terrible.
But it's kind of like he does. I got to admit, he does have kind of a punchable face. I just look at him and he looks a little smug, and I kind of want to hit him. It's just he just has resting smug face. Smug face, like resting. I want to punch your face. That's just him. No disrespect to the man. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. But the point is this, and the reason why we bring up Batman is because we had basically with Suicide Squad, 3 Batman movies that all sucked really bad, right? They sucked. And
yeah, they were terrible, and your life is better for not having seen them.
That's right. That's 6 hours of my life I get to save, right? I get to
more than 6.
Yeah,
more than 6. I think Batman vs Superman was almost 3.
Yeah, so 6, 7 hours. I could binge watch a terrible show on Netflix with that time. So
totally, yeah.
But the point is that the Batman franchise has been hurt. Like the credibility of like, oh, here comes another Batman. Now we're another Batman movie with another Batman. And I at this point I don't care anymore. I've been duped one too many times. It's the same thing, unfortunately, with Star Wars. I mean, I actually am one of the few people that liked The Last Jedi, but I had problems with the overall reboot of the new franchise. And if you really think about it, and you line up all the Star Wars movies, which now there are what is it, 8, 9, 10 Star Wars movies in total? There are 8 that. Well, you're talking about the spinoffs too. Yeah, 10. There are 10 right now. Yeah. There's 10 Star Wars movies, and arguably there are out of the 10, maybe 2.5 were good. So that's not a good ratio. So my trust in the Star Wars franchise has diminished terribly. So if you have a business and your online security gets breached, or if the way you're collecting data is not good, then you're going to have an issue. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. I just wanted to bring up too that we're talking about market saturation. The Lego franchise is seeing major fatigue right now because they just released Lego Movie 2, and it is underwhelming at the box office. And a lot of the perception is that we overdid it. We did the Lego Movie, which was a huge success, and then like right after that, they did Batman Lego, which was a pretty good success, and then they really stretched it out with Lego Ninjago, which was a somewhat success, and then they put out Lego Movie 2 like shortly thereafter. And now it's struggling, and again, it's fatigue. You have to balance it out. Yeah, the Lego Movie is kind of a one-note joke, so it's hard to. It's a commercial. Have you seen it? Did you see the original Lego Movie? I saw it for the first time the other night. Believe it or not. I saw the original Lego Movie and I saw the Batman Lego Movie, and I enjoyed both of them. I didn't think they were like excellent, but they were enjoyable. They were enjoyable, right? But it's also you can't oversaturate. But if I go to another Lego movie at this point, it's probably going to be the same sort of thing, and I don't need that, right? So the question then is like, oversaturation of your product or service. We are creatures that want to see something new and interesting over and over again. We love seeing the rabbit being pulled out of the hat, and you might be able to pull the rabbit out of the hat twice, but if you pull the rabbit out of the hat too many times, it stops being interesting, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to reinvent yourself, and that's something that we can talk about in another show. But it going back to the what we're the main topic is really about this concept of building trust with your with your clientele and the people.
No, I wanted to say something, Andros. Because Google, you had mentioned how you kind of trust Google. Well, Google actually released a white paper this last weekend at the Munich Security Conference. So this is partial news and partial fitting on topic here, that details how it fights disinformation across its largest platforms, including Google News, YouTube, and on Google Ads.
Yeah.
And so this is just kind of interesting because they talk about how disinformation has come by by many names, including fake news and post-truth era. And they characterize the misinformation as deliberate efforts to deceive and mislead using the speed, scale, and technologies of the open web. And they talk about how some people are financially motivated, some are motivated for political reasons, and then some are just internet trolls that, they troll for their own entertainment.
Do it for the lols. But so that's the other thing is like as we are saturated with disinformation, right? Talking about saturation, then the trust factor in how people interact with a product or service is starting to shift as well. I mean, it's that's why there's this whole movement of like, oh, that's fake news, and there are people out there now who literally will not believe anything because they think that it's all fake news. What I have done is I have a whole list of trusted sources that I go to that I know are going to be doing some actual journalism, and that's where I get my news from. So I don't, I'm not one of these people that are just like, well, it's all fake. That's just fake news. You can't believe anything, and that's not true. You can vet and you can trust certain things, and we all have certain products and certain brands that we trust, and we know that no matter what, I will rely on these brands because part of what they're selling is trust. So the way that you as a brand have to go about doing your marketing has to include trustworthiness, right?
Yeah.
Because if you break that trust with your clients, then that is impossible to get back. You can't do it.
Well, let's talk about trust too, because trust also goes to like platforms like Google. They are rewarding companies that are trustworthy and which are providing valuable information to end users, and they continue to combat the manipulation of search engine rankings. Mm-hmm. So for years and years, marketers have always, this is kind of like what we talked about with capitalism. They found the loopholes, right? You're finding the loopholes to get your page up on top. And Google continues to upgrade their algorithm year after year. They now have something called RankBrain, which incorporates AI a little bit. But they continue to do this, and by implementing all these updates, what they're doing is they are looking for companies that are going to provide real information that is valuable to people, that actually fits if somebody's search intent is to get information on CBD or something like that. Let's use that as an example because it's a kind of a trending topic in 2019. They want to find legitimate information about the topic. They don't want to find whoever has the most keyword jams of the term CBD in one website. They want to find something that actually provides them with value. So Google is kind of using AI, and they're using actually real people, as far as I've been told on this, to in terms of creating their ranking system. And I think that's also relevant in this conversation because we're in an era now where it's important to be creating a brand that is authentic and also trustworthy and real, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
transparency.
Yeah.
So in this, and that's interesting that you bring that up, because in this article on the Think with Google blog, they talk about the three things that you need to do in order to build that trust. And so those three things are, one of them is exactly what you said. You got to be transparent about the data you collect. And this is part of the thing with the GDPR, where now when you go to pretty much any website, that little thing pops up and it's like, we collect cookies. We collect your data. Are you okay with that? So you have to ask for clear consent and give people real choices in the types of experiences they can have with your brand, depending on their privacy needs. So, I mean, the thing is that, you and I were on the radio about a year ago, and I had this interesting conversation with one of the women on the show where we were talking about privacy, and she was like, well, how do I like keep my privacy and my data secure? And I was like, well, do you have a cell phone in your pocket? Put it in a microwave, and blow it up and then live in a cave, because that's essentially all you can do. Privacy is in this day and age is a fallacy. We in order for us to move through the world nowadays, we have to basically resign ourselves to the fact that our privacy is now no longer a thing that we can control. But when
anything connected to the internet can be turned into a listening device. So it's pretty crazy how little privacy we have, or how it can be exploited if they want to exploit it.
That's right. And there's been so much information about this, that apps that you have on your phone. In fact, I took all Facebook apps off of my phone, but I still use WhatsApp. And now that Facebook is taking their Messenger, their instant messaging from Instagram and WhatsApp, and they're going to turn it into one messenger. Part of the agreement that you give when you install these apps is this app allowed to basically take all data from your phone, right, and listen in if it so desires.
Access contact records, access all this private information, probably your notes. Yeah.
Access your microphone, access your camera at any time, post on your behalf, all of it. So the thing is that I don't trust Facebook anymore. Facebook has violated my trust, and now that they're going to do this whole thing with Messenger, I'm reconsidering whether or not I'm going to use WhatsApp anymore.
And that's why I have switched. That's why I have switched to Instagram, because I trust them so much.
Yeah, that's right. I don't do Facebook anymore, just Instagram. But the thing is that Facebook was not transparent about the data they collected and how they used it, and that's how they broke my trust. So you have to be very clear and transparent about that type of data. And then you have to be thoughtful about the data that is collected. So you have to invest in a direct way to measure your interactions with your users. And here, cookies are
like a CRM.
That's right. So here cookies are set only if visitors have had direct contact with your website. And right now I've been doing a lot of business with different companies and consulting here in Europe, and it's fascinating because the data protection laws here in Europe are vastly more stringent than in America. And so little tiny things that you take for granted when you're in America, you can't do here. So one of those things, for instance, is I set up an email contact form on the website of this company I'm doing some business with. And when I set it up, then one of the things I asked them is hey, can we put this in, if we collect someone's information, can we put it directly into Salesforce? Because I know that ability exists. To collect the information and put it in the CRM. And they said, no, you can't do that, because we've got to be very explicit that we're doing that we're collecting that data and we're going to store it for remessaging. The other thing, and this is really fascinating, is in fact, I just got an email from the company this morning asking me to fix this, when you go to the website, it asks you, would you like to receive information for us? And I made the form so by default it would say yes. So if somebody filled it out, it would already be pre-selected as yes, and then you send off the form, so you automatically get the newsletter. Well, you can't do that. You can't automatically select yes. They have to choose yes or no. So it's you've got to be very, very clear and thoughtful about how you collect your data and how you're going to re-communicate with people. Because if you abuse that in any way, and somebody even gets an email that they didn't ask for, it's going to hurt your brand.
Yeah.
Right?
So your privacy policies need to be pretty explicit in the European Union, and there's a bunch of other regulations in the European Union as far as people have the right to be forgotten, which means that if they request it, you have to completely erase their information from your system. The only exception to that is if they've been a paying customer. You still have to erase them, but you can keep like the financial records as like an anonymous contact.
Right.
So it's crazy. Yeah.
And that's an important point, because the thing is that if you're listening to this and you have your own business, or you're dealing with doing some marketing for a company as a freelancer, is this something that you have considered when building a website, let's say, or creating some sort of e-commerce site? Because the biggest issue with this is that if somebody, especially if they're doing business over here in Europe, and they send you a request to be forgotten, do you have the methodology to do that easily and follow those guidelines? And this is a big bust, right? Because before, when it was kind of like, oh, well, whatever. Now, if somebody actually decides to request that their information be forgotten, or that they don't want to be tracked, and you either aren't able to follow through with that, or you just don't have the mechanism for doing that, you can be in a lot of trouble. And if you're a subcontractor, if you're doing business for another company, and you fail that company, then you're held liable. Right? You as a marketer are going to be held liable. So you've got to be really on your game when it comes to this sort of thing. And then there's a third thing that is going to really determine whether or not somebody trusts a brand or you as a business or a marketer, and that is privacy safe when managing customer data. And this means that all of us have to start investing in cloud technology that has built-in security capabilities like data encryption. Because the thing is that there are so many data breaches nowadays, and you hear about this over and over again. There was just a data breach with what was it, Hilton Hotels, not too long ago.
I missed that one, but probably.
Yeah, and if you have gone onto the Hilton website and registered, or gone to a Hilton hotel, your data has been breached, right? And
they better have encrypted credit card collection mechanisms, at the very least, and most companies do, or most merchants. I believe pretty much all merchants do at this point. But it's a scary thought what people can steal.
So the way that you encrypt data, if somebody goes to your website and they fill out a form, or they do any kind of, even if it's just for email marketing purposes, once you collect that data, if the system that you're using gets breached, you're held liable, right? So you got to keep all of this in mind and make sure that you trust, as a marketer or as a business, you have to trust who you're dealing with, and the type of data you're collecting, and where that data is going, and if it's secure.
So a lot to think about. And on top of that, you should be collecting real valuable data about your customers in a CRM system, because it's going to give you better results. As you mentioned earlier, how the tracking cookies will only track activity on the website, but it doesn't track things like phone calls. It's not going to track things like people that interact with your Facebook page. Well, I guess it could somewhat track that, but people on Messenger, it might not track exactly. So you have to have mechanisms for kind of tracking outside activity. If they send an email, that's not going to be tracked by a tracking cookie, really. So there's just other ways that you need to be kind of keeping tabs on what customers are doing so that you can respond appropriately and personalize the messages for them.
Yeah, and this is true even if you let's say hypothetically that you have a WordPress site like I do. I do WordPress most of the time when I build sites for people.
the one you're working on for Marketing Geeks. That's like 3 months in the making.
You know what? That site is. I'm putting so much love and care into that site. You can't look. You know what I tell people, man? I tell people you can have it. You can have it fast. You can have it good, or you can have it cheap. But you can only choose two of those things. And since I'm building that site for free,
it's going to be really slow.
That's right. My apologies to people, but I'm actually, because the show is becoming so popular and we now almost have 8 listeners as opposed to our 7, I am actually putting some time into building the site. But that's a topic for another day. But the thing is that with WordPress, there are hackable sort of things that happen with it. If you ever follow the data of people who go to your website, then you can see that if you get traffic from Russia or China or Belarus or any of these strange countries, those are attempts to hack the site. And so one of the things that you need to do, especially, and this is just some quick tips to wrap up the subject, but a few things that you can do to keep your WordPress site less hackable. I would recommend a plugin called WordFence. WordFence is a nice little plugin that does digital security. I like it. If somebody tries to hack into your site, it'll send you an email and let you know. You need to limit the attempts of how people log into the site. So, if you set that to like 3, then, it'll be harder for people to log in. The other thing that you can do is there's a plugin that will allow you to change the login page URL of your WordPress site. So instead of going to yoururl.com /WP admin, which is the typical login page for any WordPress site, you can change that to a custom URL, which will be harder to log in. And then one tiny little feature that I definitely recommend, and most people miss this, is when you first install a WordPress install from scratch, then it gives it also installs a post called Hello World. So it puts a sample post on the website. So if you go to most sites and type in yoururl.com /Hello World, there's usually a post there, and people don't take it down. So that's a way that people can go and leave comments and fill up data breach your website. So with that, I would definitely recommend getting rid of that post when you do your fresh WordPress install. So
I just wanted to add that another way you could protect your WordPress site is by the ones you gave are kind of like the ways to do it for cheap, but you can actually purchase managed WordPress hosting now. Yeah, and if you get managed WordPress hosting, the company will automatically do all the updates for security. And the aim of the premium hosting is really to provide strong security. So it actually does protect you against most hacking and malware and DOS attacks. So that's an option for you. It tends to be more expensive than regular hosting. There's a couple different platforms that you can look into. GoDaddy has an option, which is, I think, more expensive. WP Engine. There are several options. I'm not going to get into them right now, but that's another way where you're going to have to put a little bit of money up front, but you can protect your site from hacking.
Right, and of course, you could always do like a Squarespace or something, which has some pretty robust data security.
That too.
So just to sum up, if you really want to build trust, be transparent about the data that you're collecting. Be upfront that you care about people's security, and then do something about the data security, make sure that everything is in place. And then, when you slowly build that trust and you implement permission marketing, you will be able to maneuver around the ad personalization issue that is becoming more and more prevalent, that people are going to, especially us marketers, it's going to be harder and harder to target individuals for advertising. So, this is something that we can get into as things become more automated, more tools get into effect. But with that, I'm going to leave one last little story here, which is kind of interesting. This is from Marketing Land, but Amazon has just introduced a platform to help people with this very issue, and it's called Amazon Moments. And Amazon Moments is a tool that gives brands a new way to deliver loyalty campaigns. So marketers will be able to use the self-service API platform to create reward programs that drive user actions across apps and websites. And the way that it works is essentially it gamifies how people have loyalty. So for instance, let's say that you have the example they give here is, let's say you have a fitness app, and the fitness app developer knows that users who complete 30 workouts during a given time period are more likely to spend money on the app. It could incentivize users by giving them a reward to accomplish an action, right? So it basically is a reward program that gamifies rewards for your app or service. So, we've seen this where you go to a website and it's like, check back again tomorrow and you can spin the wheel and get qualify for a prize. And this is a way to build loyalty and interaction with people where they will continue to come back to your site. Like for instance, with the Marketing Geeks, I know that we've developed loyalty with our sex robot report. That's right. Ugh.
The world famous.
We know, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you turn into the show, just to hear the sex robot report. That's right. All right.
The number one in the world on podcasts.
So this is from themirror.co.uk. Sex robots, now porn stars, as new series dubbed Erotic Black Mirror airs online. First of all, I got to give props to whoever wrote this headline, because it has sex robots, porn stars, and Black Mirror in one headline. That, my friends, is a triple home run.
That I'm in. I'm going to click that article.
Right?
I'm so clicking.
The show's director... The show's director believes it's the first time an X-rated sex doll has been used in a mainstream porn show. Is that a mainstream porn show? Is there? I can't even name one mainstream porn show, but hey, that's,
if you look at, the thing is, nobody talks about it, right? But if you look at the numbers on internet traffic, yeah, there are some mainstream ones, I would say.
Yeah, we all know.
It's like, if you look at the numbers, it's like news site, porn, news, porn on top traffic sites.
That's right.
Well, Google and Facebook are up there too. But
sex robots are now starring in raunchy porn movies as new 18+ erotic TV series airs online. Dubbed the Erotic Black Mirror, Future Darkly, is a web sci-fi series forecasting the future of sexual fantasies in case a world where X-rated robots roam the earth as companions to human beings. The first episode of the series was broadcast on X-rated Netflix of porn Adult Time, focuses on sex robots of tomorrow, and features the Aurora doll, a leading sex robot made in North America. The star is a woman called Becca, who meets up with an older man named Robert with an aim to having a threesome, not with another human, but with Harper, his, quote, special companion. So, yeah. And
digisexual.
They actually have digisexual. It's they actually have stills from from it. I'm not sure I really want to watch, a porn movie with just someone having sex with a sex doll. I think that's kind of weird, but hey, who am I to judge?
I think
man?
you're weird for not wanting to watch that. I mean, yeah.
I am. I must have some sort of hang up, and that means that I'm not digisexual inclusive. I should examine my my judgmental self. So,
Let me say one thing here.
Yeah.
Let me say one thing, because I had to do this. I went to Amazon that owns a site called Alexa.com, which existed before the Amazon Alexa devices even did, and they rank the top sites for traffic. So actually, the world is a little bit more of a humble or of a wholesome place, because the porn sites are down to number 27, 28, and below in the world. But we have we have Netflix at 24, we have Instagram at 16, and we have Google at number 1, YouTube number 2, Facebook number 3, and then down at number 27, we have porn555.com. At 28, we have pornhub.com. And it just gets raunchier and raunchier as you go down the list.
Porn555.com. I don't even know that one. That's well,
I've never even heard
we know
of
what
it.
we're doing with our free time after the show.
Billy.com is number 49. Billy.com. That was the Chinese anime one that we talked about earlier. That just shows up at number 49. Never heard of it till right now.
There you go. It's now in the consciousness. So we know what we're going to do after the show. We are going to binge watch Future Darkly. That's right. So, and with that, another fine edition of the Sex Robot Report.
Erotic Black Mirror, huh?
Erotic Black Mirror porn stars.
Is it choose your own adventure? Like the
No, you got to get a real sex doll for that one, man. So, all right. And just to finish up our show, because we got about 3 minutes left, interesting little tidbit about the Academy Awards. So this is again, this is a trust factor, right? The Academy Awards wanted to reboot the show to make it more relevant for the younger generation, for a newer audience. And in doing so, they basically completely wrecked it. And so one of the things that they were doing is we'll make the show shorter by giving awards during commercial breaks, including best animated feature, or best animated short.
Yeah. Cinematography was one of them.
Cinematography, which is that's actually a great award, right? Hair and makeup. Yeah. So they were not going
makeup. Yeah.
Right. So they were not going to broadcast the awards that they felt were, quote, lesser. And this is after, of course, that they came up with this cockamamie idea of giving an Academy Award to most popular feature, whatever that means. After the Kevin Hart fiasco, after they could not find a host for the for the show, because no celebrity out there wanted to have a flashlight put up their butt to see if they ever said anything that was off color. So in doing all of this to make the show more relevant, they have completely made themselves irrelevant. So finally, the Academy backtracked yet again. And they are going to include those categories in the main show because there was so much outrage. Tons of well-known directors and celebrities were crying foul. So the Academy Awards decided, okay, we'll put those back in. But they still don't have a host. Nobody has seen really any of the movies that have been nominated except for maybe Black Panther. And it's, something will win that nobody has seen at all.
Did Vice get nominated? I like that one. I liked Vice, but I don't even know if it got nominated.
I think
he got an actor nomination, I think.
Yeah, I think Christian Bale, and I think hair and makeup, but
hair and makeup.
Yeah, but overall,
I think they're going to win that one. I think he's going to win that one.
Possibly, but the question is the Oscars even relevant anymore? And I would, this is from somebody who I used to work in the entertainment.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Will Smith win Best Hair and Makeup for the new Aladdin sequel after being revealed as the genie?
Dude, Blueface is not cool. I think 20 years from now, people will be like, oh, dude, remember when Will Smith was in Blueface? Dude. And he'll look at that and he'll be like, yeah, man, but that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was a digital representation of me. I wasn't even in there. That's my Will Smith imitation. It's terrible.
That's dead on.
Don't ever. Man, you know what? They're going to pull out this recording in 20 years and be like, see, Andros can't be president because of his Will Smith imitation. You can't win.
I think there's other reasons you can't be president.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we close out another fine Marketing Geeks Radio Hour. I learned a lot today. We laughed, we cried.
We did so much. I wanted to give one more piece of geek news. That Kevin Smith is rebooting Jay and Silent Bob, and they start shooting next week. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
The reboot that everybody was wanting and asking for.
Oh man, I've been begging for it for years and years and years, and finally, it's back. Finally.
It's fun living in end times. It really is.
That Ron Burgundy has his own podcast right now. I still haven't listened to it, but I hear it's funny.
Yeah, we will see. I'll be.
He steals my lines though.
He does. And with that, everybody, thank you once again for being part of this awesome hour of pure radio internet gold.
And don't forget to rate, subscribe, and love the show on iTunes, on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Google Podcasts, on Prancer, on Dasher, whatever.
That's right. Whatever you're podcasting. I listen to stuff on Dasher. And with that... Yeah.